Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Andrew and very excited today to have Wade Wells, part of who you might know from Anti-Siphon training, from Simply Defend, from Simply Cyber. And Wade, thank you so much for coming on the channel. I'm going to pass it to you for a quick introduction.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking me to come on. I know since you're on our podcast, everyone always says that they'll invite us to theirs, but you're the only person who has.
Aw,
The funny part is everyone has invited Josh. No one's invited me, which is hilarious.
man.
Right. Yeah, so my name is Wade Wells. I'm currently a detection engineer. I'm a staff detection engineer for 1Password. I've worked most of my career in the financial sector, actually, protecting big amounts of money. So now working for an actual tech company has been a lot different. I've done everything in the SOC from security operations, right? Being that analyst to being the engineer to building out a CTI team. Now this is the second organization I've started building out a detection engineering team at. Some fun stuff. It's always new, moving around, but I do a bunch of other stuff too. A bunch of community things, run a BSides, do a bunch of stuff here in San Diego, but too much work, to tell you the truth.
Well, so glad to have you on the channel, and we're going to get to talk about a little bit of all that tonight, so super excited. So we will go ahead and get started with the first question that I kind of ask everyone I bring on the channel is cybersecurity. When you're in kindergarten and you're talking to your teacher on what you want to be when you grow up, people rattle off doctors, lawyers, firefighters, astronauts. Not often or frequently do you hear, I want to get into cybersecurity and be a detection engineer or an instructor
Yeah.
or teach this stuff. What kind of led you into this role and getting into cyber?
Yeah, so I have had a computer since the first grade. If you went on my LinkedIn, my dad actually built our first computer through dumpster diving.
Yep, I saw that.
And I can remember booting up MS-DOS, like learning how to spell Windows in command prompt. Like that's how I learned, and playing Duke Nukem, right? He showed me how to change directories to the folder and then type // or whatever, dot dukenukem.exe and then tab complete and stuff. So I've always had like a fascination with computers. When I was a little bit younger, I was probably like 10 or 12, I started learning about like hacking video games a little bit Command and Conquer Red Alert too. Had a lot of hacks for it. I always really good with computers. I was actually the head of video tech in my high school. I ran the video tech lab.
Nice.
And yeah, they actually just had one computer and then a bunch of scraps. So we actually took the scraps from about 14 different Macs and then were able to build 4 more computers that worked. We networked them together. We used to play StarCraft all the time, right?
That's good.
Yeah, right. But then I actually I took some computer classes right in college, like my first college course. But what ended up happening is I took a really good poli-sci class, and this teacher like inspired me, so I actually changed majors to poli-sci.
Nice.
And yeah, I actually worked for a lobbyist for a while too here in San Diego. Learned all about that and realized that I did not want to go that way. And then took me a couple more years. And then like when I was 25, I finally got into tech.
Nice, man. And that's so I was actually going to bring that up and I saw that on your LinkedIn, like, yeah, my dad built our computer from dumpster diving. I'm like, that's actually kind of solid, man. My dad's a lawyer, and it's just like, I always joke with a lot of my friends, like my dad did some things hands-on, but he was very much of like a kind of like, oh, if something's broke, we're gonna just have someone fix it. I'm like, I had to like learn my own way of like how to get into the cars and like building out my own computer. And like my dad wasn't and still isn't the biggest tech guy. So every now and then I'll still get some calls like, hey, how do I do this? Or how does this run? Or they need me to do this like update and I don't know how to do it. So no, that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
But when it comes into building out your, like you said, your own CTI team or your engineering detection team, there's obviously a lot of work involved with that. And obviously there's, when it comes into hiring those type of folks that you're bringing onto your team, that's another huge thing that folks come onto this channel for, and it's them trying to pivot or get into this field. What are some recommendations or things that you like to see on a resume, or when it comes into talking to candidates that can really make them stand out, make them the best hire for those type of roles if they're trying to get into a SOC or become, I know, software engineers or those security engineers onto just a SOC kind of environment?
Yeah. The first thing I always look for is like passion, right? Like if you can tell someone's passionate about the role and then you talk to them a little bit and like, oh yeah, I have this lab. I've worked on this, worked on Try Hack Me, Hack the Box. They list off a couple people. They know they've watched IPSec, right? A bunch of different stuff. I can tell that they're in the know at least, and they're trying hard. That's the first thing I look for. If you're trying to actually move careers, I did this. I took whatever past career I had and tried to map it to the IT job that I was doing at the time. So going from customer service, I actually went to a data center, right? Where I actually had to call clients, had to talk to them. And so easily transferred all my customer service skills, my incident response skills, right? I've never had an incident that was as bad as a bus at In-N-Out. That's like true story, man. Like, and I've had some bad incidents, but nothing ever to that level of like beaten down. So being able to transfer that and share that with the manager as I'm interviewing, like, hey, this is the experience that I had, and this is how they're going to help me in this tech job. Usually it's a shining star every single time. Like I keep In-N-Out still on my resume to this day. And it's usually a great conversation starter. And people ask me why, and I usually push through and tell them.
I know, and we were just talking about this before we started recording. It's you had a shout out to In-N-Out's, I think, security team that was hiring, and you're like,
Yeah.
if you take In-N-Out's values and you replace good food with good or like good whatever their place the word food with cybersecurity, the values are very strong still and actually very relatable to have good cybersecurity practices and like customer service skills and like finishing a job completely. And 100% with you, like throwback to those here in the Valley in Arizona. I used to work at Big Surf Water Park, and that was like my summer gig. I started off there working in the food industry. I was like a registrar clerk, like for the subway they had there. And I eventually went into lifeguarding, and I became a lead and then a supervisor. And then my senior year, I actually became the aquatics manager. And I managed all the lifeguards. I had to do all the off-board, like all the lifeguard training for our in-services. I had to do the timesheets. I had to sign off on their hours. I did hiring. And I was, shoot, man, I was in junior high still technically. I mean, like I was like just getting into high school, like in my senior, like, doing that my entire high school time. And I'm like, that stayed on the resume for a while because it's just like there's the same thing. There was a lot of great things I could take on that when it came to soft skills, management, leadership, communication skills, which just like you said, taking the job if you're breaking into the field, like I was a police officer. So having my communication skills and getting to talk to people, and when I had to go to court and talk to judges and had to break down a jury and writing a good solid report of what event happened. When I got into my SOC job at the state of Arizona, my SOC manager loved me. He's like, dude, your reports are so thorough and standardized, systematic, depending on the process. Everything always changes, but you always have your 5 W's, who, what, when, why, where, a why. Was this mitigated? Was this not? Did we have to escalate it? It's a great story. And then you also get to be a storyteller depending on how high that event happens. So
I think that's a talent that's hard to teach, is the storytelling part. Like my dad always used to tell me the longest stories, right? And my dad, so like you were talking about yours, my dad was the complete opposite. He was like, he wasn't, he was a criminal-esque. I won't say he was a criminal, but he did very much like I was taught to bend the rules early on in life and like try to get everything I could. But by him teaching me that, it's gone through cybersecurity as well. And then I always look how to bend the rules and bring it that way. The other thing though is like, especially like you're saying, talking to people and being able to tell a story is so hard to teach, but it works out so well in cybersecurity, either doing alerts, right? Being able to thoroughly say what you're doing, doing IR reports. Like I hate writing IR reports, but you can easily write it. The first security job I had was actually in a SOC, managed security provider. So we had to write 10 to 12, usually notifications a day. And you have to tell a decent story. And the thing is, you don't know who's receiving that story. So it has to be detailed enough where someone who has expertise is going to enjoy it, but detailed, but not too detailed. So someone who doesn't can then use it as an action item.
yeah, no, exactly. Knowing your audience, and it's like that C-suite level of like, hey, when I worked at the bank at Wells Fargo, it was just like, if we had to ever reach out to an end user or a team, it was like, okay, well, who am I reaching out to? Am I reaching out to a back tech dev that I can talk ones and zeros on, or I can talk about file paths and directories? Or are we reaching out to like a business analyst, or like maybe even like a help desk or like a manager at the bank that's like, they handle the money. They don't handle the cyber stuff. They just log in with their passwords and stuff. And
That just happened to me. I hit somebody up and I wasn't thinking about it. I'm like, hey, we just got this alert. It said you downloaded like a bunch of files, and they started freaking out. And I'm like, well, they're like, and I get through my picture. I'm like, did you do this, or is there like someone doing it? And they're like, oh, when you said a bunch, I thought you meant like hundreds, not like 40. And I'm like, okay, but yeah.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying. It's like,
Yeah.
well, Wade, I know we also kind of talked on it too. Like you do a lot of training and obviously being part of Simply Cyber, you have your additional podcast, Simply Defend, which if you have not checked it out, links will be in the video below. Definitely check out their series as well. It's fantastic. More of the blue team oriented, which I really like.
Yep.
I love seeing the blue team side of things because everyone thinks of hackers as that's the thing. It's red team pen testing.
Yeah.
Like, man, dude, there's a place to be on the blue team, man. And let me tell you, it's a good place.
There's a lot more blue team jobs out there than there is red team. That's what I always tell everybody.
There is. So, obviously that takes a lot of resources though, but it's also, I obviously think very rewarding. What's that like getting to kind of be involved in that and kind of like maybe kind of just walk us through kind of like maybe the day in life of setting up interviews, going through the channel, setting up the people you're going to talk to. I know you also run BSides San Diego, which is another huge thing, which we can kind of correlate into a second part of that question. But yeah, what's that like?
Yeah. Luckily, like my time with like I don't work for Black Hills, but I'm heavily connected with them. For the last 5 years, I like to call myself like a hang around, pretty much. If you're a biker, that's like a biker term. So luckily I've met a lot of really high up, really interesting people through there. So like with Simply Defend, I pretty much hit up that entire group and be like, hey, please let me interview you. Please let me interview. And almost everyone has said yes. It's just starting now where I've ran out of people and I'm having to just like, hey, Mr. people on LinkedIn, or actually push Josh to try to start asking people too. Every now and then he brings someone in, but usually it's me. Yeah. And it's hard. It's a little bit awkward sometimes. I've had a couple people back out and just never tell me why. I don't get upset about it. Usually I do the same thing probably you do. I sent them a little bit. I will pull their LinkedIn. I will throw that through ChatGPT to suggest some questions. Usually I already have stuff lined up because I know what they're doing and what they want to do. But it's fun stuff. We do 30-minute interviews now. We got it a little too long. We were doing like 45, 50, and Jerry was getting angry. We needed to stick with 30, but it's fun. It is a lot of work. Because we do 8 episodes a season. This is our 4th. We do a season a quarter. And this is our 4th quarter, our 4th season. Yeah. So it's not too bad.
Nice, man. BSides San Diego. So
Yeah.
I know you're one of the board members for that. And it's funny because I know BSides is a huge thing that if you don't know what BSides is, it's like a local, I wouldn't say local, it's a national kind of like a local hangouts for cyber communities for the state or area you're possibly in. It's also overseas. There's BSides Australia, Moscow, Germany, Brazil. There's tons of different BSides. I've actually started doing some OSINT on BSides Phoenix. It used to be a thing. I don't know what really happened with it. So I'm kind of maybe going to be linking up with Pacific Westside hackers and talking to them, more sure of the contacts to maybe possibly get another spin-off on trying to bring BSides Phoenix back. But can you maybe talk a little bit about how did that happen, or kind of what's that process on putting a con together? Because it's huge.
It's a lot. I have thought about backing out of that a lot. So I first volunteered for BSides San Diego in 2020. The BSides San Diego was the last conference to be thrown before COVID. So we were actually in person, had a big conference. John Strand was our keynote speaker at that time. And I both volunteered and spoke at that conference. And it was the first place I've actually volunteered. And after that, I got really into volunteering and then wound up moving into a board position, just because I volunteered so much. Running the con is really hard. I have to become a salesperson, which I'm definitely not, right? And one of the key tricks I was using though was whenever a sales email would come into me, I would actually take the email or take the call, set it up, talk to them, and then do like a judo flip and then pitch them to sponsor BSides San Diego.
Nice.
It worked,
Nice.
right? Yeah, it worked a couple of times, but not as much as I would hope. That's usually the hardest part, is getting the sponsors and actually getting people to get in, and then also getting event space. That's also very hard. In San Diego, event spaces are very, very expensive. So usually we try to team up with like a college or something like that that'll either donate the space or give it to us at least at a cost or very cheap. The last year we had it at San Diego State. I think we had over 50 speakers. I will admit like 25 of those speakers were new speakers that were doing 15-minute talks, and then they had 5 minutes between each one. I try to cram as many people in there. It's It's hard, but it's definitely, if you're in a community, right? It takes a village. We have a lot of volunteers. A lot of people always come back and volunteer. And then we lean on them in order to do some of the grunt work, to tell you the truth, like the CFP process, right? Or running villages and that type of thing. It's a lot of organization. There's 3 of us who are on the board. Each of us take a little bit of a specialization. It looks good. I always thought it looked really good on a resume too, especially if you're looking to try to get in the community, try to volunteer for one of these conferences that's in your local area, but sometimes it can be hard. Usually, at least in San Diego, everyone wants to volunteer. I think we had over like 150 people request to be volunteers
Wow.
last year, but we only took 60. Yeah, it was, and
Man,
people were
that's
still,
impressive. Dang.
yeah, people were still, and then I always tell people, I'm like, hey, we don't need volunteers, just buy a ticket, right? And tickets are cheap. Like, I think we had, our cheapest ticket was $15, but we actually had a sliding price that if you could give us more, we would take it. Cause a lot of the times your organization that you're working for will pay for your ticket.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, you might as well like get us $250, right? There's never that many people. There's usually like only 5 a year that'll pay the max. But, it's a sliding scale. Usually the people who pay more usually always go. Is that true? So
When it comes to that such large volume of volunteers, like, are you guys like vetting any volunteers, or do you actually like interview any of them as well? Or is it just like, hey, first 60 we get, boom, we got our 60, and like, all right, hey, sorry everybody else, or
no, we don't do as much vetting as you would think because they do drop out. I think we had probably like 5 to 10 dropouts last year, and then we have people in the wings ready to come in. A lot of the times, because me and the board members go to all the local events here in San Diego, there's actually it's like 10 or 11 different cyber communities in San Diego.
Nice.
So if we spread out the 3 of us to go to them, usually we know enough people within those communities that will then volunteer. So we do prioritize people we see often. And the other thing we try to prioritize is college students. If we're at a particular school, we'll prioritize actually their students to be volunteers if they want.
Awesome. No, that's very cool. Bringing on to additional, I know you're saying workshops and trainings and getting to do talks and everything. Do you have a favorite talk you've gotten to do at a conference that you've done in the last few years?
My favorite talk. So I keynoted West Hackin Fest last year. It's
Nice.
on YouTube. Yeah, you can watch it. What was it called? Gosh darn it. I wanted to call it cultivating growth and community, right? And it was about being part of the community. It was also a joke because they always say Black Hills is a cult. The original title for the talk was like how to be a good cult member, but I got told to change it. Like that was too on topic. So
It's funny.
cultivating growth and community. I talked about pretty much like why it's bad for you to actually be by yourself, right? There's actually a loneliness epidemic going on in the United States, which is also crazy. Being like once you get to like that level of loneliness, it's the same amount of damage to you as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Yeah, it was super crazy. I started going down this darn rabbit hole, and I was like, God damn it. Luckily I'm like super social. But got to say all that. I actually created a what was it called? I created like a MITRE attack, but how to socialize with people and become pretty much like a leader of a of a conference or of a company, and it shows you to go all the way through. And then there was also like a pyramid of pain, but it was the pyramid of pain for social interactions, right?
Nice. That's funny.
So like joining the community online would be at the very bottom, and the very top is obviously doing some type of community talk in front of a bunch of people. Yeah.
I'm excited, man. I actually got my first talk approved this year. I'll be speaking at GrimmCon in Grand Rapids, Michigan this year. Pretty excited. I got talked on to GrimmCon from another colleague I had on my channel, and they're like, dude, have you ever been to GrimmCon? I'm like, no. They're like, you should totally check it out. It's super cool. And I'm very excited. My talk's going to be called OopSec, the day I made the DMV even slower. It's a very great story. It's a time when I was at the state, and definitely come and check it out, or I'll probably eventually have the video once the GrimmCon records it if they do. But I know Anti-Siphon, or not Anti-Siphon, Simply Cyber actually had a training video on submitting a paper, I think. Was it
Jerry did it. Yeah. Gerald. Jerry did one about how to do a CFP. That one was pretty good. That I honestly, I've heard great things about GrimmCon too. I wanted to go, but this year I took a took a 3-week vacation from May to June and used up all my vacation hours. So I'm not doing any more conferences
Yeah.
that are not local this year.
Are you not going to DEF CON this year?
I'm not going to DEFCON. I'm not going to West Hackin Fest. I thought about trying to go to DEFCON and just flying out there for the weekend or something like that, but I have a 2-year-old too, so don't want to leave the wife home with the 2-year-old and get some bad points.
Nope. No,
Obviously,
totally understand.
right?
And family first is what I always promote for Cyber as well. I'm also married. I got 2 kids. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old as well.
Okay.
And my 2-year-old son is just into everything because that's what 2-year-olds do. They're just
Mhm.
the terrible twos is a real thing, but I think it's more or less just them being curious and just loud than anything else. So too awesome, man.
Yeah.
Anti-Siphon training. I know we briefly talked as well, but I've been seeing you kind of on some of the training coming up, and I believe you have a course that you'll be teaching here come August.
Yeah. So in August, Anti-Siphon is doing a Blue Team Summit. During the day, I believe don't remember the exact date. So let's see. August 27th is the summit, then August 28th and 29th are the actual live trainings. So if you want to watch the summit, it's usually around like, I think they said they're doing 20-minute talks this time, and there'll probably be about like 5 to 8. And then my training is actually only a day long. I've actually been told there's too much stuff in that single day, and I need to extend it to 2 days several times. And I just haven't pulled that Band-Aid and tried to do it yet. But it's CTI 101. I did create a CTI program at one of the financial organizations I worked at from zero. Like pretty much I got there as a security engineer, and I got told, hey, Wade, you're running cyber threat intelligence. And I said, well, what do I do? And he's like, figure it out. So I had to go
Everything. Cool.
Yeah. I read like 4 or 5 books right off the bat, started doing it all, and then realized I'm like, hey, this would actually be pretty cool. And I actually created the course as my final for my master's program.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had it was like a full semester of working on it. I had to write an essay on why I would create it and what type of niche it fills. So like at the time when I first created it, there wasn't a lot of CTI courses that were good and fairly priced. It was either like Sans or like some like random dude that's on like that cost $1. Don't want to call anybody out. But yeah, so I made the course and then I pitched it to Anti-Siphon and they let me teach it. And since I have connections with Black Hills, it wasn't a thing at all. But it's fun stuff.
Nah, that's awesome, man. And I guess a great kind of follow-up question that before I kind of hit for the last two is resources when it comes into getting into cybersecurity. So huge shout out to Anti-Siphon training. I've been to a few of their different trainings. I love their pays what you can methodology on a lot of their courses. Ideally what that is sometimes the class might be anywhere from free to $5 as a minimum to, hey, pay whatever you can. The more you can pay, it helps out other future students that maybe want to attend that course that can't. And it gives you a little bit more access to the course after the fact. But other than Anti-Siphon, what are some other great resources that you know of, Wade, that you would recommend folks to get into? I know we kind of mentioned a few like Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, Simply Sci, obviously.
Yeah, those are both great ones. The Black Hill. So there's Anti-Siphon, right, and then there's Black Hills. Those are technically under like one umbrella, right? It's kind of like Marvel multiverse type of thing. Black Hills also has some really good stuff, and they also have another company that's called Active Countermeasures, and they specialize in blue team stuff. So they also have great. One thing I always push people towards, especially who are looking for CTI, is there is a course on YouTube on a YouTube channel called I believe it's Mad 20. And what it is it's MITRE's training arm. And you make sure you watch the YouTube videos. Do not pay for the courses. So all of the entire course is for free on YouTube. It is probably, as I was doing my CTI course, I found these and paid for them and then realized they were free on YouTube. That was the worst part.
Okay.
This was
awesome.
Yeah. This was actually the best CTI course I could find at the cheapest. And I think I wound up paying for, I found 15 CTI courses. I winded up taking, it wasn't even 50. I think it was 10. And I winded up taking 5 of them. And this was the best. Besides,
Cool.
Try Hack Me actually had some good stuff too. But there wasn't like a path for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do this. The other stuff, Try Hack Me is my my big one. I usually do. I always highly suggest just build a home lab. Try to do something. If it's just a virtual box, that's great. Get 2 machines to be able to talk to each other. Maybe build like a Flare VM if you know what that is. I also always suggest people. There's a CTF called Flare On, which is more malware reversal, but it's a lot of blue team stuff. Their entire CTF catalog from all the years they did it is actually uploaded to their system, so you could do past years all the time. What else? I think those are my main ones right now.
Nice. Well,
Now,
that's fantastic, Wade. And the one thing I always tell people too, that it comes into like, it's such a weird thing where folks, like, I'm sure you get the same question where folks will talk to you like, I want to get into cybersecurity. What should I do? And it's just like, what do you want to do? It's like the possibilities. I think I've talked to a lot of folks where I think people think of 3 things in cybersecurity. There's IT help desk, a SOC analyst, or like a red hat pen tester. But I'm like, there's so much more. There's SLED, there's compliance, there's DLP, there's DevSec, there's the backend engineers, software engineers, there's CTI. It's what's your passion, and then just like you said, like kind of narrowing down that kind of that niche or that specific ask of what you want to get into. And then the thing I tell people to do too is I've just started mentoring this year, and I'll get someone like, oh yeah, I'm doing a little bit of this, and this. And like they're trying to do 10 things at once.
Yep.
And it's like, take a step back, make a top 10 priority list, and then just knock out those top 3 things. Like, hey, you know what? Number 1, gonna get my Sec Plus. I just want to get that basic, learn the acronyms, learn what security is, and maybe get yourself a foot in the door with the certification to really just know that, hey, look, I can go through the material, I understand the concepts, and then go from there. Just like you said, building out a GitHub repository, Stack Overflow, building a home lab, knowing the lingo. I've had a colleague of mine that he got some great feedback from an interview he had. Unfortunately, he's a little bit too many buzzwords. So I try to tell people like, hey man, be careful with the buzzwords. They're great to say in an interview, but if you can't back up the information behind it. And it's the same thing that one of my good friends over at Charles Schwab, their SOC manager, he's like, dude, you can have every certification and letter behind your name, but if you can't actually do and retain the information, they're just letters. And it's the same thing with a SAN certification or your Security Plus. If you have GSEC or Sec Plus and you're interviewing for the same job, and you could ask a simple basic question of, hey, how would you investigate a phishing email? And if that person with a Security Plus can answer it better than that person with that SAN certification, they're the stronger and better candidate. So don't.
Those are,
Go ahead.
All those education stuff, that's all cannon fodder for HR is the way I always think it, right? That's
HR algorithm is what I call it.
Exactly. So I did a talk a while back called the Triad of Success. And there's 3 different like pillars in order to get into cybersecurity. There's actual like education where you're doing certs, doing any type of training, to go back to school to get a bachelor's degree, all that stuff. That's great. But the thing that trumps that is experience, right? So how do you get experience and education at the same time? So you get experience, you get a couple of years under your belt. Well, then you find out that's still super hard to get a job. What's better than experience? Knowing someone, right? The social aspect. So how do you get an education, get experience, and meet people all at the same time, right? So you're trying to knock down it. The chart I made looks very much like a talent tree from World of Warcraft or any type of RCI, any type of like RPG. And so you got to spec out, and you got to learn how to spec correctly, in which you don't want to put all your points in one particular tree unless like it may work, but it's going to be a lot harder, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to try to also like min max it. So if I were to do a CTF, right, I want to do a CTF with a bunch of people I've never met before. So I'm learning maybe something I've never done before. So I'm learning new things, I'm socializing, and then I write a blog post about it, right, and throw it on my website or something like that. I'm knocking out a bunch of stuff all at one time.
Tyler, I got to talk to Tyler Ramsby a few episodes ago, and he made a really good point on it too. And it's not like you have to do this and like publicize it, but he's like, dude, record yourself and make a YouTube, make it private. Don't publicize it yet, but make a YouTube, create a blog, write on Medium, do write-ups, brag. And it's like I tell people, I say LinkedIn is the new cover letter of, I think, like when it comes to looking to a job, because the first thing you're going to do when it comes to talking to somebody or applying for a job, they're going to go try to find you and dig you up and look you up on LinkedIn, social media, see who you are. Are they involved in the community? What do they do? What are they talking about? Who do they know? And I think that's a huge step on Like, I think you and I, Wade, I would say are somewhat social, extroverted IT guys that either forced or just by choice want to talk and have that interaction with folks. But that's the thing too. I tell people like soft skills are huge and it's very hard to teach soft skills and having to, how we mentioned, like writing a report. And there was many times when I worked for the state and even the bank where depending on how our junior analysts would find casework, they'd get pulled into the C-suite calls with like all the teams, like with our red team, our purple team, our DevSec, the C-suite folks. And it's that tier one analyst that's explaining the quick bluff of, hey, what they found, how they found it, what the next steps are and where we're at. And then they pivot it to the next level. And being ready to do that for a lot of folks out of college and even getting into their first roles can be very intimidating.
Mhm. Finding like having those blog posts or those videos also prove that you did it, right? Like anybody can write on their resume that I have a home lab and then I've deployed Kali Linux and like exploited vulnerabilities and stuff like that. But actually being able to prove it, having a blog post or having a website or even a bunch of stuff on your LinkedIn is going to take it to the next level. Like it went, so the last, we'll say 7 months ago, I was deep in interviews. And I was interviewing for like higher level staff positions. And I actually got one for an MSP. And I was like, you know what, I'll go through it. And the first interview outside the hiring manager was a couple of people I would have worked at. And they immediately told me that they went to like my website and went to my LinkedIn and both realized that they're like, you know, way more than we do. Because and they're like, what do you want to know? And I'm like, no, you guys are supposed to ask me questions here, not the other way around. And,
Social engineering at its best, I'm already
right. I was like, this isn't how it works, but okay. Like
they're begging you, please come work for
yeah. The funniest part is after that, I'm like, you know what? I didn't want that job, but having that stuff is really going to back you up. I know, hopefully he doesn't. Casually Joseph, he was doing YouTube videos and blog posts. And before he got his job at Unit 42, they actually found him and saw all that stuff that he was doing. And that boosted his cred immensely. So
awesome.
It's always, yeah. So always try to go above and beyond a little bit, but don't kill yourself.
Yeah, it's like finding like doing CTFs. Like Try Hacks Me's been hosting. I've been on a CTF bender the last few months. I got to do the Cyber Sentinel challenge. I got to do the Continuum CTF. Made top 10. I was happy. I was just happy. I made the board, not the podium. I'm like, oh man, whoo. But like Pico CTF, there's CTF trackers you can find and websites that track all this stuff.
One I suggest that I should have said earlier is KC7. If you don't know what that is, so KC7 is all around Cusco, whatever, like whatever language that is, and it's kind of like what Microsoft uses in MDE in order to query logs, but they're not associated with Microsoft. What they do though is they actually tell you a story as you're going through it, and usually show you, okay, like there's a phishing email that came in. Where would you go to view the phishing email? You have to go look at the email logs. Then they go, okay, the guy clicked the link, go look at these logs. And they slowly show you how to go throughout the whole like attack chain. And then further down the end, when it gets harder and harder, they don't give you where to look and where to go. So you just have to know, okay, they have execution. Now we know they have to maintain persistence. Let me go look around for persistence mechanisms in the logs. I have a couple buddies who help run that. Highly suggest checking that out.
I'll have to get that link from you. That sounds super cool. And I'll definitely have to drop that. All links and such, I'll make sure I rewatch this video and drop them into the comments in the video. But no, man, that's awesome. We are down to our last two questions, which are the funnest questions, I think. When you're not doing cybersecurity, Wade, what do you like to do for fun? What do you do to unplug, to hang out and chill?
Yeah, that's been hard lately. It's such a kid.
It's like the hardest question ever is when everyone always tells, we're like, what's relaxing?
I do 2 different podcasts. I teach. So technically I run 2 conferences now. I do BSides, and then this year I'm running DEFCON.
I saw
DEATH. Yeah. I'm running the local event. So detection engineering and threat hunting. It's global, so you can pick up a ticket wherever you are, but they have local aspects of it. So I'm running the one here in San Diego. So doing community stuff is probably what I do for fun the most of the time. I actually spoke at the local DEFCON group last night. But besides that, I play a lot of video games. I find myself playing single player nowadays more than multiplayer because I'm very competitive and get upset when I lose. So, right, I can't put in the time anymore. which is always sad. The other thing I recently got back into is paintballing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
One of my local neighbors paintballs a lot, and I used to do it a lot back from like 17 to 19. We would go all the time. I lived in the middle of nowhere, so we could literally like walk behind my house and like start shooting each other.
We had an orchard behind my house. So me and my high school buddies, we just go to the back orchard, and there was like a no man's land with like orchards are like planted super, super close together. But then there was like a part in the middle where there was like 3 tree spaces like empty. So we'd start on the opposite ends and then dip into the trees, and then yeah, dude. Paintball was also huge here in Arizona. I loved it. I think I still have like my Titman 98 custom.
98 had them. Yeah, dude, that's the AK-47, a paintball gun.
That was the gun to have when that playing in high school.
That is still the gun that all of the places uses, all the youth. So my gun's actually like behind me in a bag, but I use an EMF 100, which is almost like a replica gun, and it actually takes magazines.
Okay.
Yeah, they have paintballs that take magazines now. So I got super into it. Now I have adult money, so I can actually like buy like gnarly guns and masks and stuff.
You can fully invest and fully invested. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going. Next time I go is on the 20th. I think I've been 4 or 5 times, probably since March, when we started playing again.
Nice.
So that's the big thing I think I'm mostly diving into. Besides that, I read a lot. It's more audiobooks now. I'm a heavy fantasy sci-fi. If you know who Brandon Sanderson is, he has a huge, almost multiverse-esque storyline. I do a lot of him, as well as like Murderbot, The Expanse. Highly suggest anyone to read or even listen, because the audiobooks for Dungeon Crawler Carl are excellent.
Okay.
Yes, highly suggest it.
What's the single player game of choice right now, or top 2?
I was playing Warhammer 40K.
Nice.
So yeah, the other one I have God of War Ragnarok that I haven't been able to complete yet. I actually started over because I couldn't remember where we're at. And then I play some games like Balatro. I have on my phone while I was on vacation. That's all I played. It's like a poker-esque game. And then the last one I'm going to say is Deep Rock Survivor. So there's a game called Deep Rock Galactic that's a 4-player co-op, and you're dwarves mining and you shoot bugs and stuff like that. Very kind of a cross between Minecraft and Starship Troopers. Okay. If that makes sense.
Okay.
And so they made a survival version of it, if you've ever played Vampire Survivor. And it's literally like a game that I can watch a movie and play at the same time, or listen to a book, watch some YouTube videos. So that's usually what my go-to is.
Awesome, dude. I'm like back. My buddies got back on Grounded because Grounded 2 is coming out soon. So they wanted to do a spin up.
Really?
Grounded.
Wow. I feels like Grounded just came out.
I feel like it's been a minute, but yeah. So I've got back on Grounded, and then I don't know if you played Deadlock. It's like a mix between like Overwatch and like a hero line war. So it's like a 3-lane, 2 heroes each lane. You're fighting towers and creeps and heroes.
I was really big into Overwatch.
Yeah, it's like Dota too. Like Dota's a good guy. Describe it too. So it's like a hero.
But in first person or third?
No, you're the third person. So it's like you're like controlling the whole character. Okay. Boy, that took me a second. I know that. I'm like, I'm a nerd. I promise. I'm like,
I was really into Overwatch for a long time. I actually played with Stone Mountain, if you've ever heard of him. He's like a big streamer one time. But the Pro League isn't too far away from me, and I actually went to a couple of the pro games.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna say San Diego's pretty big on the gaming sector, I'd say too, for a lot of places that have like the competitions and stuff too for all that.
Psionic, who makes Rocket League, is down here. And they used to run tournaments at the local colleges a lot.
Fire.
Yeah.
Wade, this was a blast. So glad I got to have you on the channel finally, man. Yeah. As a huge thank you, as always, I'm going to have you get to my link and get you some awesome Ginger Hacker swag as a thank you for coming onto the channel. Everyone, if you made it this far, please like, comment, subscribe, and drop in your comments the favorite part that you got to hear about with me talking to Wade tonight. And Wade, last but not least, the last bit of advice you'd give somebody trying to break into cyber.
Socialize. Either if you can, go to local meetups and start talking to people. Don't go to get a job, go to learn about the community and to be a part of it.
Awesome. Great advice. I 100% agree with that. Nail on the head. Talking to people and getting to actually get into a place that you're actually going to enjoy going to. Mm-hmm. If you like where you work, you never work a day in your life. That's what they say. What the saying is, allegedly. So, but hey, everyone, thanks so much. Wade, thank you again so much for coming on the channel. And everyone, I will catch you on the next episode of Breaking into Cyber.
See ya.